Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Comics League. I'm Jared, and today, excuse me, it's a very special video. Recently, on one of my live streams, theory crafting machines. It's a really cool, small YouTube channel on, obviously YouTube that deals with a lot of comic book stuff. Asked me to do a reaction to one of his recent videos about. Now, here's actually a very unique topic that I was very interested to check out. How the Whedon cut of Josstice League sets up the Nightmare verse. So I checked it out, and I have some thoughts. Now, I wholly disagree with the assertion that he makes, and here's why. Because the evidence that he uses for his theory is the Zack Snyder stuff. Remember, those storyboards that he's using, that he uses for sources, are pretty much the Zack Snyder plan that would only be set up and executed by the Snyder cut. Which, okay, that's there. Next, and the purpose of the two videos is to say that Warner Discovery won't restore the Snyderverse. He uses quotes from like Warner Media individuals saying that he actually used the Ann Sarnoff statement that set the internet ablaze. That was basically talking about how we're very happy that Zack got to do his third movie and that his trilogy is complete, and we hope he has luck in his future endeavors. Okay, so my problem with that quote is that first, that's from a year ago, so it's kind of hard to use that as evidence for the point. And second off, that's pre-merger. Here's the thing with the merger. Once again, I cannot stress this enough. With the merger, the Zaslav is a money guy, and he's going to be looking at what makes money. It's irrefutable that the Snyder Cut was very successful on HBO Max, to the point where Warner themselves called the Snyder Cut a global phenomenon. That's the first thing. The second point that I want to mention is the idea that, okay, so let's say, let me think of what I want to say. Okay, yeah, so that's the first point. The second point is that Zaslav sees this and the demand for the Snyder Cut, and is like, okay, we could do it like this. We could put Zack Snyder in there. And now another point that Theory Craft Machine makes, but by the way, I just want to say your stuff was great. It was a very detailed video and I enjoyed it. It was very enjoyable. The other point that I'm going to make is that, well, first, you're reading Zack Snyder's plan. So it's the Snyderverse. Second, Warner has been very clear that the Whedon cut was intended to go away from anything Zack Snyder. So they wouldn't use his plans whatsoever. So they wouldn't use the Nightmare universe. And then second off, the other point here, and this is something that I cannot stress enough. When you look at the Snyder cut, yeah, I'm trying to think of what I want to say here. Okay, is that they don't want to go anywhere near his thing whatsoever. So they're not going to do anything. They're not going to go toward the Nightmare verse. So it's not in there. I remember, and okay, now I remember what I want to say. Now, here's the thing. You brought up a very cogent example of the director's cut not being canon. You brought up I think it was the version of the Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. I'm just pulling this up on my other screen to check this out. It was, let me see. It was like the early Superman movies. And okay, you brought up the Donner cut. Now, here's the thing about that too. Here's the thing. Hang on. Okay, so here's the thing. With the Donner cut, here's the difference between the two. Now DC is establishing multiverse. So what they could conceivably do is just tell Snyder, okay, your universe is canon to HBO Max. HBO Max is for the most part going to be the Snyderverse world. Our canon is going to be the film verse. That's the way it can be. So, and this is another point that I want to make, and it's a big misconception with the DCEU fan base. When we say restore the Snyderverse, we don't mean cancel every other DC movie that's coming out and let Zack do his thing. We just mean, in addition to whatever you want to do in the theaters, allow us to have this. So I just wanted to clear off that point just real quick. So that's my other idea there. Now, as for, and then my final point is that for your final piece of evidence, you use the trailer that was put out by HBO Max that was intended to be the, here's what happened up to the Snyder Cut. So you're still using Snyderverse examples. So in other words, you use the Snyderverse to try and prove, you use all the Zack Snyderverse movies that we have out yet in order to prove that the Snyder Cut, that the Whedon Cut is setting up the Justice League movie, the Nightmareverse. The only thing you use, which I'll give you credit for, is the Lois Lane big gun scene. Here's the thing. They still did that in the Snyder Cut. They just didn't use the big guns line. Remember, Superman was going to kill Batman. He was heat visioning his gauntlet, which I gotta admit was pretty boss when those gauntlets are blocking Superman's heat vision. But my point is they still use the Lois Lane thing. So that itself does not disqualify the Snyderverse too, the whole Lois Lane point. But I can see where you were going with that. As for your other arguments, you make some compelling arguments, and like this, you've thought this through, and I appreciate that. I like it when fans theorize things, even if it's for a cut that I strongly disagree with. Once again, you can have whatever opinions you want. Once again, so it was a two-part video. The first part you read through all of the Zack Snyder storyboards. And remember, this is the original plan for the DCEU. They threw out that plan when Warner Brothers had a hysterical meltdown after the public reception of BVS. That's the difference here, is that these plans no longer apply. If these plans apply, then we'd have the Snyderverse. So I understand where you're going with this. Yes, I agree with you that this sets up the nightmare scene. 100% this does. It's just it doesn't link to the Whedon Cut. Because remember, the Whedon Cut was them going away from whatever Zack Snyder wanted. That's it. So if they're going away from what Zack Snyder wanted, because that's what the Whedon Cut was, what the theatrical cut of Justice League was a reaction to, if they're going away from that cut of the movie, these storyboards no longer apply. So that's my general idea of the video. It was a very good video. I'll put the link into it and a link to his channel in the description. He's got a really cool channel. You guys should check it out. It received the Comics League endorsement. And if any of you guys are YouTube creators and have videos you want me to react to and give my opinions on, absolutely put in the comments. But yeah, and once again, a Theory Crafting Machine was a great video. And the evidence you use, I agree, does set up the Whedon Cut, but it does set up the Nightmare universe. The problem is that it doesn't link to the Whedon Cut of Justice League. That's all I'm saying, bro. Besides that, great video, and your editing's on point, man. Besides that, I hope you guys enjoyed this special edition of Comics League, and I will see you in the next video. All right, everyone, stay heroic. Bye-bye.